So, Danielle, Stitch to My Lue. Where that name came from?
I always like to say that I married the right man. His last name is Lou. And
Oh.
when I started my company almost 9 years ago now, I started off as Skip to My Lou just because I thought it was cute and catchy child's. But then I felt like it wasn't really indicative of what I did. And in the very beginning, the only thing I did was embroidery service. And at that time, it was even gift items, whether it was a baby blanket or a something for a wedding. But then I also did a lot of, business polos and dress shirts and
You
that
still
kind of
do
thing.
a lot of them?
Still do a ton of embroidery, absolutely.
When it comes to branding on a shirt, well, let's talk about marketing.
Yeah.
When it comes to branding on shirts, embroidery, what you think is as a marketing standpoint, what do you think is the most common mistake people make?
I think sometimes trying to put too much on a
Too much?
shirt, if it's embroidered.
One of my experiences being, for example, my company is called Smarketing Results, but people think it's smart. And my idea was the synergy between sales and marketing. I wear a lot of those shirts, and people looked at them and they keep moving. But as soon as I start putting shirts with just videographer or photographer, you do pictures, you do video, and that concept of the mobile billboard start coming to mind and start pushing it more to the clients. When it comes to that type of marketing, what is your what have you seen that it works?
I think it depends. Yeah, I think you have to consider where you're going to be wearing the shirt. So if the idea is that you want people to be able to stop you when you're in the grocery store or in Target or, can I say Target?
Yes.
Then I would say, something a little bit more general, like videographer, is definitely going to make people say, wait a minute, I need a videographer. But maybe if you're at a trade show or you're going in, to a meeting with a client or a potential client, then having that professional representation of your brand, where they may already are aware of who you are and what you do. I feel like that is probably more an appropriate setting.
That's a good point. It seems obvious, but I overlooked it. I'm always thinking about the marketing, but sometimes the marketing thought overrules the branding. And when people say, "Oh, well, branding is marketing," but
Yeah, and I think as business owners, we get excited about
Telling
our
people,
brand,
yes,
our logo, our name, but the reality is it doesn't always tell the full story of what we do, and we might be missing out on opportunities, by not being a little bit more general in certain circumstances.
So your recommendation, and it's a great one, and it's something that I need to keep in the front of my mind is business settings, proper attire, just dress to impress, branding, mobile billboard, t-shirts. That's a different approach.
Yeah, with a t-shirt, what I would recommend is, doing a double-sided print. So maybe the front part, the left breast, is your business logo, but then on the back, it's something a little bit, more general in terms of the service that you're offering.
So, for example, I earlier mentioned that I bought a new domain to try a new campaign. It's called Sell Through Marketing. When it's 3 words like that, what would you be? I know I put you on the spot.
You're gonna test my creativity.
What would be your recommendation for that one? Because I want to give you that one. We want to test that one out.
Something like that. I would say that would be a back shoulder blade imprint. That would be sellthroughmarketing.com. Maybe something below it that gives a little bit more direction on what exactly they're going to find when they get to that website. Or if you're a curious person like I am, when I see a potential website that I know nothing about, or just even cool messaging, I'll kind of make a mental note of it and just Google it after the fact just to see what is that? What is that guy doing that I saw in the store earlier?
Let's switch to business cards. I stopped when I was in Vegas. I lived in Vegas for 9.5 years, and I stopped using business cards while I was there. But moving to
Thank you. Yeah, that's good.
It wasn't in order, so I got over there. I'm like, what is this?
Thank you so much. You too.
when I moved to England, people were using business cards. Moved to Florida, and business cards here are crazy. People use business cards. What you think is? I think business cards are missing something. Just like the email signature, they have the name, serial number, title, address. but they don't have, most of the time they don't have call to actions.
Exactly.
What have you seen in the business card world that is working, that is different to the normal 3.5 by, what is it, 3.5 by?
Usually 3.5 by
By
2
2.
is kind of the standard
Yeah.
business card size. There's some that you can get that actually fold in half. That'll fold down to that 3 by 2.5. Just gives you a little bit more real estate. But you can even kind of step it up a notch if you want to start to go down the world of promotional products and usable items. One of the things that I like to use, I do have business cards because they're obviously very inexpensive. Everybody should have business cards if you're in business. But maybe if you're at a networking event or a trade show, instead of just handing out business cards, I use it's a microfiber cleaning cloth that folds down to the size of a business card. And it's typically they're about 6 by 6. I think you can get them as big as 8 by 8. But they're usually they can be printed full color, edge to edge, and you can basically make them look like a brochure. So you can, not only include all of your contact information, but you can talk more about the services and even have a picture of, the service that you
That is
provide.
interesting because that's an item that people can take. What about shape business cards? For example, I'm helping a flying school.
Yeah.
And yesterday, the idea came to do a business card in the form of a tail. So
Okay.
it's a kind of a triangle type deal, but shifted to one side. Have you ever done anything like that?
Yeah, we can do custom, cut size. There's a lot of new things that have come out with business cards. I'm even though I'm a marketing person, I kind of keep it boring, I guess you
Yeah.
could say, with your standard rectangular
Yeah.
shaped business card. I feel like most businesses have a limited budget when it comes to marketing, and so although custom cut business cards might be fun and cool, I think sometimes you have to balance what is the cost going to be on a business card that is likely going to get thrown into someone's drawer, or if we're lucky enough, scan into a mobile app so that way somebody saves it, but ultimately end up in the trash. So I always kind of encourage the extra marketing dollars to be used in something that's going to be a little bit more long term.
So what other items, funny items, I don't want to say funny, that sounds bad, but items that people keep and utilize. I know I took one of your coasters.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody went to the office, including my son. He's like, "Oh, Dad, I love that idea." What other items? Just do you have one here by any chance?
The coaster,
Yeah.
I do. Yep.
The material feels good. Even it comes with instructions. What material is this?
It's called a soapstone, and so basically it's just made to absorb, the moisture off of a cup or water bottle. I love them because you can, again, you can do full color imprint, and it can be edge to edge. I chose to put a calendar on there just because my hope is that it's one more reason for somebody to keep it out on their desk and use it all year round. But again, this is also kind of photo quality imagery. And so it can, we could, if you're a photographer, we could put an image of one of your best photos on the coaster and kind of show off your skills.
What other items like this that you feel people will keep and your brand will stay there with them? Because at the end of the day, we have to remind people we still exist. It's not, the way I see it is not their responsibility to remember who I am. It's my responsibility to let them know, hey, I'm
Yeah.
still in business.
Yeah.
What other items like this can we use that you feel that people will keep in their office?
There, in the world of promotional products, there are probably well over 300,000 different items that we can source. And I'm a huge proponent of making sure that the clients, the items that I recommend to clients have a function behind them. Sometimes, it's fun to use something that doesn't have a true function to it, just to go with something a little bit cuter. But I'm always trying to advocate things that are going to be used by the end user. So you first want to think about who are you giving the item to, and what would they potentially be doing with it. So if your target audience is maybe females, then even something as simple as a chapstick or a little compact mirror that they can fit in their purse, those are things that they're likely not going to be thrown away. Even umbrellas, they're things that we hate to buy, we hate to spend money on, but if you're given one,
How much umbrellas cost?
oh my gosh, we have them as low as I think $5.99 a piece, all the way up through maybe $50. It just
Umbrellas.
depends on, what function, what style, all that. We've got those cool invertible umbrellas, that trap the water inside. So when you're going to get in your car and you normally close up the umbrella and you end up getting a shower in your vehicle after trying to avoid the rain shower.
That's probably something that we need to put in my to-do list as well. Shirts, business cards, umbrellas.
The list is growing.
Yes. But something that caught my attention last time I was here is the onboarding boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to have this one here. I know this one says hello, but you told me that you can brand it with anything.
Yeah.
But your initial conversation was based on making onboarding boxes for employees. And then when I went to the flying school, I'm like, this can be given to the students. Their polo, their books, or whatever they need. That's a nice package box, branded.
Yeah.
What other scenarios have you seen these boxes used?
So I mean, the boxes are great for, like you said, onboarding new employees, whether it's students, even clients. Especially once, as a business you've won over a new client. They can become one of the best brand ambassadors out there for you. So why not arm them with some cool, fun products, and maybe even encourage them to go on social media and show off those cool, fun products that you just gave to them, just to kind of help further the reach of those items.
Two things that you gave me besides that I love is that I think people are not using enough these days is the folders.
Presentation folder.
Oh, that yours is beautiful. And another one is that the big postcard that you gave me is that you basically said bring this for, I think it was free 250 business cards or something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't think people are utilizing gift cards or postcards for that as much as they should for that type of approach. What is your take on that? Is that angle working? Any other advice for people that want to provide that type of marketing tactic?
I mean, I think postcards in general are one of the most cost-effective ways of marketing. The way to get the biggest bang for your buck is actually mailing them. You can always get them printed and you can hand them out manually, but you can only go to so many networking events and talk to so many people at a time. The real trick with using postcards for marketing is kind of understanding it's the 40-40-20 rule. So basically understanding that there are three major components that go into the creation of a postcard or a direct mail campaign. And basically 40% is the offer that you decide to include in that. So how strong is your offer? The other 40% is the target list that you're actually mailing it to. 40-40-20.
I don't 40-40-20. I don't think I have heard that one before. So break that down again for me, please.
Yeah, so basically the success of a direct mail campaign can be broken down into three different areas. So 40% is dependent upon the offer that's included, so how strong of an offer. So if you're a restaurant and you're trying to market to maybe some new residents, people that have newly moved into the area, I would say offering maybe a buy one get one free meal would be a fairly strong offer. Maybe you're targeting people that are celebrating a birthday. So having a real strong offer, something that's going to really incentivize someone to take an action. Nowadays, maybe 10% off, depending on what your product is, that may be enough, might not be. So basically 40% of the, is your offer. The other 40% is the target list. So, making sure that you're buying a list of people that are going to be in tune to the product or service that you're offering. If you are a ladies' clothing store and your clothing appeals to people that are in the ages of 40 and 50, you want to make sure that the list is representative of that. Sending out a mailer to a group of women in their 20s, you're probably wasting your money. And then believe it or not, that remaining 20% really comes down to the creative and the look of the piece. Some of the ugliest postcards in the world have outperformed just extremely professional designs because of the fact that they had the right target audience going behind it and a really strong offer.
So now that we talked about postcards and the mailing, I know you have a service that I'm very interested in utilizing. Tell me, it's what it's called, social DM.
Yes.
So tell me about
Yeah.
that.
Social DM is kind of the perfect blend between what we would call kind of old school traditional direct mail, where you're dropping your direct mail into the mail stream and waiting to see what happens with it. This is kind of marrying that effort with digital efforts. So social media marketing, Google ad display. It's similar to the technology that you might see. Let's say you're on, a shoe store or a shoe website rather, and you're looking at this pair of sneakers, and you think they're great, you'll probably buy them, but don't at this particular time. Well, as you move away from that website and you start to go and maybe read blogs on other websites, you may notice that those shoes are following you around. They're being presented on all of these other websites. So it's basically utilizing that type of
retargeting
technology. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, for the marketers in the world, retargeting.
Retargeting.
Yeah, and it has a lot of other components as well, where we can assign a unique tracking call phone number.
Can you dig a little bit deeper on that? So I understand how retargeting works. And if I put the pixel, the code on the website, somebody visits my website, and then my ad follows that, and we do that all the time. But how that, if you, without divulging any states,
Right.
G14 classified secrets, how that works in the direct mail? How you follow people?
So basically what we do is, again, going back to that targeted list that we have either purchased, or maybe you have a nice size customer list. We're basically using that to create custom audiences within Facebook, loading that up through Facebook, using that in Instagram. On the Google Ad Network side, it's usually done through geography. So if we know that the direct mail piece is going to be targeted to specific geographies, we can limit it that way as well.
What is a good size list, or what would be the minimum size that you recommend somebody to use of a list to use with social DM?
I really feel that at least 2,500 pieces in one mail drop is the best way to be able to balance budget, so keeping budget low, but also mailing enough so that we're getting a decent response to be able to determine if all of those pieces that we put together, as far as the offer, the list, and the creative, trying to determine if that all works. But one more thing I want to add on that, not just dropping that mail piece one time. It's really important to, direct mail is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So you need to have those multiple drops.
Marketing in general, I think,
Absolutely.
it's a marathon. But do you recommend, you send the one, then you do a follow-up, second follow-up, a third follow-up, like I sent you a letter 2 weeks ago type deal?
You could, I will typically even say, let's mail the same postcard 3 times every other month to the same person. If you're an HVAC company, there's a good chance that this month I might not need your service. My air conditioner is running fine. I don't need it. But a month or 2 months from now, that postcard comes in, and maybe over the last few weeks, I've noticed it's not running as efficiently as it used to, and now it's going to kind of.
What's the frequency? Well, how far apart do you recommend sending the direct mail?
So if you're not using that social DM technology that would run alongside of your direct mail, which is what's going to give kind of those repeated touches, potentially on a daily basis, it just depends on how often your recipient is online. I would say 4 to 6 weeks, and I would say that you would want to do that for at a minimum 3 months, but ideally at 6 months. It's really that 4-month mark where we really start to see the snowball effect on responses.
Going back to the message, you said 40, 40, 20, and the message is like the core. I believe that's where most of the business owners lack. I'm gonna post on Facebook, but their message is not tuned in. It's not fine tuned. How you help people overcome or fine tune their message?
Google makes that so easy nowadays. I am not saying copy and steal from your competitors, but certainly research what are your competitors doing and what is working, and use that to kind of emulate what what would work in your area. So, don't concentrate on one particular competitor, but go out and do some research. And if you're looking at, 10 to 20 different companies and what they're doing and, what seems to be working, you can kind of take a little bit from each one of those and then come up with something unique to your own organization. One question you haven't asked is sales reps. How can, company sales reps get their foot in the door with maybe larger organizations? A postcard is something that's probably just going to get thrown in the trash by the admin assistant. It may never work. What I recommend there is what we call a 3-dimensional mailer. And this can be as subdued or extravagant as you want to get. It could even be as large as that box. But even something as simple as, this flashy green foil envelope or whatever color, kind of goes along with your company brands. Putting an item inside of there that is light enough and flat enough to where this could even be mailed first class mail. So now, you're talking about the whole package could be done less than $10, $15 a piece.
Earlier we talked about this postcard with the social DM. Can you do the same with 3-dimensional packages?
You can. The trick here would be typically these are done in smaller quantities. Social DM is really, I think, going to be most effective when you're doing more of a larger scale type of mail.
So if the person has the budget to do 2,500 pieces of these, then you will say go for it.
Right. Or if an organization has multiple sales reps, let's say there's the company's got 20 sales reps and each sales rep is mailing 10 of these a month. Now we're talking about a couple hundred a month multiplied by however many months the campaign's going. Now we're starting to get into a larger size. So I would say absolutely, let's marry that with social DM. But with these mailers, because they are more expensive, you want to make sure that you're only mailing as many as you can keep up with from a follow-up standpoint. Because it's not enough to just get this in front of somebody. You want to make sure you're calling that person that you mailed this to a day or two after they receive the piece to say, hey, did you get that gift that I sent you in the mail? It now kind of takes what could have been a cold phone call, kind of warms up the person a little bit more and just creates a little bit more lighthearted conversation that can take place.
The tracking on the social DM tells you when it arrives, so you can use that information to follow with the call, correct?
Right. Yep. And with this, there's different, this could be sent either through U.S. postal mail, and in that case, there are ways that you can get tracking numbers so you know exactly when it's been delivered, and then of course FedEx, UPS, all those, you know exactly when it's been delivered.
You talked about sales rep, and also you mentioned earlier HR. How can doctors, for example, use three-dimensional package or even the postcard? What campaigns have you done within the health field that has worked?
So for doctors, I would recommend, if you're kind of like a primary care doctor, that you're keeping a really tight pulse on the new residents that are coming into your county, into your area. Those are people that are going to be looking for new doctors. And so by just having maybe even a set it and forget it type of campaign that's going out every single month to people that have, just recently moved into your area, to let them know who you are, maybe what areas or ages you specialize in. If you're a pediatrician, we can even, target homes with children that are within certain age groupings. And so then that way you can let those people know, who you are. If you're a specialist doctor, then again, same type of tactic. But you might, as a specialist provider, be marketing to the primary care doctors that are actually referring. And so in those cases, that's where
makes sense.
A dimensional mailer might be a little bit more in tune, especially if it's an item, like a coaster. If you mail this to the referral coordinator at that primary care office, there's a good chance that this is going to go right in front of her on that desk, and she's going to remember, oh, if I need a cardiologist, I'm going to refer my patients to this cardiologist.